Good Monday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Mostly sunny today with temperatures about 88 to 94. It'll be in the low 70s tonight, mostly clear skies and light winds. 90 to 95 Tuesday, mostly sunny. There's a weather front coming in with a chance of showers of thunderstorms Wednesday and Thursday. We'll go with a blend of sun and clouds each day, and the high Wednesday and Thursday around 90. Jonesboro, that's your KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. It's feared there may be no survivors after a landslide in the Philippines caused by Typhoon Mangkhut trapped dozens. Some Republican politicians say a vote on President Trump's choice for U.S. Supreme Court judge should be paused due to sexual assault allegations. South Korean President Moon Jae-in travels to Pyongyang on Tuesday amid a stalemate in peace talks. And in Australia, Queensland police are investigating several cases of sewing needles hidden in strawberries.
It's 9:01.
Community Conversations is brought to you by Arkansas Early Learning, offering no-cost childcare in Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas. Applications at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I have a bunch of special guests with me today. We've been having a really great conversation off air, so I hope that we can keep it rolling and get every one of you engaged that are out there listening. We have Dr. Tima Balducci, Dr. Catherine Baker, and Miss Melissa Wilkinson from the ASU A-State Art Department. So thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. I'm going to let them go around the table and give you an introduction of themselves, what they teach, and what role they play, what extra roles they play at Arkansas State University. So we'll start with Dr. Tima.
Thank you so much, Camila, for having us this morning and for being patient with us.
No problem.
I'm Tima Balducci. I teach art history, specifically like 19th and 20th century art, and I'm also the chair of art and design.
Okay.
My name is Melissa Wilkinson, and I teach painting and drawing. I've been at Arkansas State for, going on 8 years, almost 9.
That's wonderful. All right.
Catherine Baker. I also teach art history, but a slightly earlier period. I focus on medieval to Baroque art, also non-Western art as well. And I've been here about 2.5 years, and I am also work a lot with recruitment.
Okay. All right. So some people hear art and they snooze, or some people hear art and they light up. But I want, before we get into the details of our discussion, tell us how important of a role art plays in every aspect of our lives. And if you come closer to the mic, ladies.
I think primarily, from an artist's perspective, I think that the arts are oftentimes reflective of our values.
Okay.
So in terms of how we negotiate our ideas, how we communicate them, we are so steeped in a visual culture. I mean, you go on Instagram, you go on Facebook, and what are we looking at? We're looking at images. Mm-hmm. And these images, I think, are mirrors of what we believe.
Okay.
In a very practical way, images are everywhere in as much as objects are everywhere. Okay. We are an artifact culture. The chair that you're sitting in was designed by somebody who went to art school. The car that you drove in was sculpted initially in clay by a fabricator. Wow. So I think that even the utilitarian, it plays a role in our lives in that we're so steeped in it that we don't know it, right? There's a joke about two fish. One fish swims by another fish and says, "Hey, how do you like the water?" And the fish says, "What water?" Right? And I think that we're so ingrained in a visual culture that oftentimes we tend not to engage with it intellectually. Wow. But in terms of our history, it is everything about what has shaped who we are.
Okay. And do you feel that many artists create pieces to invoke, I guess, sorry, discussion. I saw a piece on Facebook, and right off the bat, I initially got insulted by the piece. However, the art, not to say that was the artist's intention, however, it did create a lot of discussion based on the people that commented on it. So I've heard the term that art is subjective. Can you explain that a little more?
I think that I make images to both. I make paintings,
Okay.
So I'm fairly traditional, right? I'm a purist, but I make paintings not only because it gives me pleasure, but I want to put more pleasure in the world as well.
Okay.
Initially, though, I make images to have a conversation, and I think benign art that doesn't say anything, isn't very effective. In history, through art history, but also through any contemporary engagement with our world around us, knowing how contentious the world is today, how much there is in terms of a clash politically. Artists make work for a variety of different reasons, and I think that dominating today are really ideas that are about inciting a reaction. And I think that's right that you might feel angry. It's better to, I think, have something happen than nothing happen.
Okay. All right, Dr. Tama.
Hey. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, well, really we're here to talk about all the fabulous things that are going on in art and design. We have lots of new initiatives going on, and so I just want to focus a little bit on some of the things that are going on in the upcoming month.
Okay.
One of the things that we started last year was this program called Second Saturday. And it's pretty much just what it sounds like. The second Saturday of every month, we offer an opportunity for community members to come in and participate in an art project. So the faculty member who works with the community is Shelley Gibson. She is our printmaker. And then she also has each semester a different student helping her. This year it's Michaela Lemons, who's an art education student. So she enjoys coming in and getting to work with the children and get some experience that way that she can later use in her work.
Okay.
So last weekend we had a very successful second Saturday where both adults and children got to come in and create screen prints on fabric. So this is a technique that a lot of people might not be familiar with, so it's a good way to introduce yourself to different techniques, just to get a little experience being creative and having a trained artist there to guide you. So we had more than 20 people show up, so it was very successful. Now for October, we're doing something with a Halloween theme, of course. On October 13th, we're doing monster prints. So this is going to be a lot of fun. They're actually called Smash Your Face prints. So it's a direct print process where you, I don't know if I want to give it away.
No,
We'll keep it a surprise.
Yeah.
You basically come in and make a print using your own face, but I won't give any more details than that.
Okay.
So you come in anytime. The facility's open from 10 to 2. It's in the Fine Arts Center, room 107. So you come in anytime in there when it's convenient for you. It usually takes about 20 to 30 minutes. So just drop by. Other ones we have coming up for November, for example, holiday letterpress cards. So a great way to make some special cards for the holidays. We do not have one in December just because it's the holidays and we have graduation on second Saturday.
Yes, thank you, Lord.
And then lots of other fun ones coming up. Paper cutting and silhouette portraits and ink-based spray prints, all kinds of stuff through June.
Oh.
So lots of opportunities to come in and do something creative.
And this is a great way for families to come out together.
Yes,
to
absolutely.
engage in conversation as well as hands-on activities.
Yes.
About art. While they're participating in these different projects, do the students or whatever professors are present, do you explain some of the historical background to this particular medium?
I don't think they do a lot of historical explanation. I think it's really just focused on the art because usually it's so busy, people coming in and out and people like at different stages of working on their prints and whatnot. So I think it's a little bit more hectic than that.
Okay. Well, do you ever offer, or have you ever offered courses for the community to come in and just learn some basic historical background to various art
We have not offered specific courses for the community, but we do offer tours of our shows where we do talk about historical aspects of the art that's on display.
Also, whenever we have a visiting artist or a speaker, all of that stuff is open to the community.
Okay.
And
All right.
if you follow us on social media, oftentimes we advertise all that stuff, and we welcome everyone.
Well, I'll make sure to start paying more attention. I want to say good morning to Ms. Chelsea Chapman, who says good morning, and to Dr. Sharice Jones-Branch.
Yay!
She says good morning.
Hi, Sharice.
She said this sounds really fun and exciting. Dr. Sharice, you need to go on out, get your hands dirty, and play with some.
Absolutely. I want you to come and do a smash your face, Sharice.
I used to do an exercise with Sharice, and she is a boss. At 6 o'clock in the morning, she was lifting. She's amazing.
She got to keep her energy up to teach all the history to those students.
She does.
Okay. So what are some other things that you all have that really help the students to get more involved and engaged in what you are teaching or attempting to teach them?
Well, one of the things that we're doing, for example, we were involved in the Oasis Art Festival last April, and we'll be doing that again this coming April. A lot of our alums present works at that show. We had almost 40 artists, local and regional artists involved, and I would say at least half of them were either current students or alumni.
Oh, wow.
So that was really exciting. So we had their work in different downtown restaurants, so people could come in, look at the art, also sit down and have a great meal. We had bands. So this year we're going to try to make it a little bit bigger. We're going to hopefully try to close off at least part of Main Street so it's more pedestrian friendly. We would love to get in some food trucks and putting out even a wider call for artists. So we're having our first Oasis planning meeting in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And I think what's good to note about the Oasis project is that this is an opportunity to collect art on an affordable level. I think a lot of people are really daunted by the price of art. And locally, things like this are really the place for beginning collectors to go and to find works at a very, very reasonable price.
Because I had an interest. At one point, I'm still into sunflowers, but I fell in love with, is it Van Gogh? Van Gogh?
Yes, it is.
The
It's
famous, the famous picture of the sunflowers in the vase.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I can only afford like a poster reprinted poster version, but I would love to
I feel ya.
Yeah.
something nice where you can actually see the brush strokes, whether it's oil or acrylic, whatever type of paint or medium they use to create that piece of work.
Our students are an untapped resource.
Yeah.
They will give you an original work of art, and oftentimes it'll be to order and very affordable.
That's awesome.
So one of the things we have going on right now is an exhibition in the Fine Arts Gallery.
Okay.
And we have been having high school students and elementary school students coming in and doing tours of that show. We have a couple more scheduled for this week.
Okay.
So I was going to get Melissa to talk a little bit about Pink. She's the curator of that show.
It's called Pink.
It's
Yes.
called Pink. And so it's about 24 female artists who have I've curated and known throughout the years, whose work I've been familiar with, who I've asked to create a piece especially for the show. So they're dealing with either the aesthetic, the color of pink, or they're dealing with the concept of pink. Obviously, it's very gender loaded. So I brought together a good diverse group of women-identified artists, and it fills the space and commands a lot of interest and conversation for sure.
I want to see that. I love all things pink. People often tease me because of my love of pink, but that's okay.
Why do you think that is?
Because I am I know that, people in my world, sociologists will say, oh, gender is a social construct, but anyway, I love pink. I'm an all girl, so anyway.
Well, I think that's actually one of the things the show is trying to challenge historically, is that pink has actually not always been associated
Not at
with
all.
women. Samurai warriors in Japan were identified with the color pink.
Yeah.
Wow, so there's some history.
Yeah, so kind of
behind
making
it.
students think, or anyone, I guess, who sees the show, getting them to think a little bit about how our associations with color and about color change over time.
And I think that goes back to your question a little bit earlier about how do we engage particularly with the art historians? How do we bring our students, both our students in our program, but also students who come and visit from Nettleton, and we had students from Bay High School
VPA.
and Valley View come, and VPA Elementary. How do we get them to think both about the things that they're looking at directly in front of them that were made by contemporary artists, but including history as well? Thinking about that these things don't exist just now, they're part of a much longer conversation that you are able to participate in.
That's amazing. So what has been some of the feedback from the students, especially the ones that are not in college, after they've gone through this tour? Do you have them write their feedback, or do you just engage face to face, or you gather information from their teachers?
We've mainly been engaging face-to-face. We have the students, we break them up into groups and have them pick favorite works of art that they want to talk about in detail. And they've had some really good questions about color and about technique. You know, they notice things like texture. They're curious about the subject matter. And they've had some really insightful things to say.
Okay.
It does seem to be a really good way to do a museum tour that is not just us talking at them about these particular pieces. We kind of have had a process where we let them guide us, and through a series of questions get them deeper into the subject, get them to question their own assumptions. And most of the students who I gave tours to this week were in like AP art, and so they're also practicing artists. So this can also enrich the way that they do their own work once they get back to school. And we're actually going to be, we have a lot of conversations with our local art teachers. We actually had an experience last semester where we brought each school onto campus, their art students onto campus for a full day, sitting in on classes, meeting our students, and it is a conversation we want to keep going. And I'm really interested to find out if we see a lot of pink in their art over the next month or two.
That's really awesome.
But Kabila, you should definitely come and see the show. There's a huge variety. Sculpture, paintings, prints, fabric. You would love it if you love pink.
Yeah, I do.
And to wrap it up, instead of doing sort of some dry academic talk, the closing reception on October 10th is what we call, well, it's widely known as a Pecha Kucha event, which is it's a Japanese style of party where typically people gather to show PowerPoint lectures, but the PowerPoint lecture is competitive. So you show an image for 20 seconds, and you try to pair your words beautifully and succinctly. And so each talk is 6 minutes, 40 seconds. And you share any sort of idea or background with a diverse audience. So the Pecha Kucha event is an assembly of 10 women who are coming from backgrounds like, I have an opera singer, I have a speech pathologist, I have a counselor, I have a couple of the artists in the show, I have a former student. So everyone from a varying perspective are sharing their ideas about, you know, how they think about gender, how they think about art, and ultimately about engaging with a wider audience beyond just visual arts lovers.
That sounds very, very interesting.
It comes from sort of cafe culture and like spoken word. It's just a much more tight format.
Structured.
It's very structured, but it's not academic. It's meant to be a fun, engaging activity.
Okay, and then what time will this start?
3:00 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I'm very excited about it.
If
There
it's-
will be drinks and delightful cookies.
If it's very successful, and of course it will be, we would like to continue it maybe once a year, just for fun, inviting women in the community to participate. We'd love to do that.
I think it's going to be very awesome. We're here at KLEK, we're always trying to engage in conversation and make the community aware of what's going on all around, even on campus, and trying to help bridge the gap so that people do away with the mindset that ASU is here, Jonesboro is here, and we're not connected in some way. There's so much to offer between the city and the college that can interconnect, that can enrich everyone's lives. It's just a matter of people having the information on what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. That's the hardest part, is getting the word out. We've been trying to come up with lots of creative ways to get the word out about things.
Well, we're here, so you can always email me, call me, and I'll be happy to post on our website and social media pages and share whatever I can come across.
Excellent.
So that's we would love to have a lot more community engagement. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Dr. Tema Balducci, Dr. Catherine Baker, and Ms. Melissa Wilkinson from the ASU Art Department. We have talked about an upcoming exhibition, well, an ongoing exhibition, and Second Saturdays, which the next one will be October 13th. And what time is it? From 10 to 2?
10 to 2.
Okay, and that's in the Fine Arts Building.
Fine Arts Center, yes.
South Fine Arts Center. Where is that located?
That is, it's kind of hidden in a parking lot, actually. It's very hard to find. It's catty corner to the New Humanities Building.
Okay.
I don't know what else to... It's behind Pack Place. So if you know where Pack Place is, come to the parking lot behind that.
Okay. So behind Pack Place.
And room 107.
Yes.
Room 107. All right, so there's some signage, though, if someone gets on the turnaround.
Absolutely.
All right,
Look for the kids with the funky hair.
Okay. We would love to see as many people in the community go out and engage in this activity. Again, this is going to be more Halloween themed, and we're not going to tell them all of the details. We want you to go out and have fun. Now, would you advise people to wear comfortable and
I think for Smash Your Face, they should wear something that they don't mind getting dirty.
Okay. All right, so that's all the details that you'll get about this event. You'll be doing a monster print with your own face. So,
yes.
All right, we have a question before we go to break. Ms. Chelsea said, okay, she wants me to pass on the information to you all. I would love to learn more about the events they have happening. Let's get them on the site. Oh, the City of Jonesboro has a website that connects organizations and the community together to also get volunteers and things of that nature. So I'll make sure to get you that information.
Excellent.
You're tuned in to Community Conversations, and we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Why is home the hardest place to lead? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. It's tough to lead at the office. You have constant HR headaches, cash flow issues, and operational problems, just to name a few. But it's a lot tougher to lead at home. Why? First, you can't fire your children. You're a parent forever, no matter what your children say or do. Second, there is no paid or unpaid time off. You are always on the job, 24/7, doing their laundry, helping with homework, carpooling them to school, practice, and games. Third, there are no salaries, bonuses, or raises. As a parent, you are more like a constant ATM. Remember, your family first.
For more resources on today's topic, go to markmerrill.com.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a non-profit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Meineke of Jonesboro is now Starks Auto Service, a full-service auto repair and vehicle maintenance center offering engine and transmission repair, brake service, tires, oil changes, and more, performed by ASE certified mechanics. Starks Auto Service, 2813 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, 870-204-7112. Starks Auto Service, Jonesboro.com.
Hello, I'm Officer Jonathan Hagens of the Jonesboro Police Department. One of the best decisions I ever made was to join the Jonesboro Police Department. Since joining, I've had the pleasure to give back, protect, and serve my community. Now I want to let you know about that same opportunity. The Jonesboro Police Department will conduct testing for the patrol officers at the Valley View High School. Applications are available online at jonesboropolice.com. The Jonesboro Police Department offers a competitive salary, health, and retirement benefits, top-of-the-line training, and most importantly, the chance to make a difference in the Jonesboro community. Join me in making Jonesboro a better place. The Jonesboro Police Department is an equal opportunity employer, and women and minorities are especially encouraged to apply. More information, 870-935-5657.
Applications are being accepted. Applications are available at jonesboropolice.com.
The Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was established on June 28, 1997 by 13 dynamic women who accepted the challenge and honor of chartering the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter. Today, the chapter continues to impact the Jonesboro community by sponsoring programs such as the Sonia D. Williams Scholarship Breakfast, Back to School Bash, Disaster Preparedness, Delta Academy, Empower African Girls, and Autism Awareness. Our focus correlates with the national theme, uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. Our chapter supports Delta's 5-point programmatic thrusts: economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, and political awareness and involvement. More information about the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is available at www.jonesboroalumnidst.org or via email jonesboroalumni@live.com.
KLEK is starting a new fundraiser which will allow listeners to donate to KLEK while buying groceries. KLEK is a part of the Kroger Community Rewards fundraising program. When shoppers visit a participating Kroger and scan his or her Kroger Plus Shoppers card, a portion of the savings goes back to KLEK to help keep it on the air. Details on how to sign up for the program are available at KrogerCommunityRewards.com and at KLEKFM.org. This is a KLEK fundraiser.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm speaking with Dr. Tima Balducci, Dr. Catherine Baker, and Miss Melissa Wilkinson from Arkansas State University. They are from the art department and teach various classes. Based on our conversation, I'm sure their students are very well entertained and engaged when they are in class. I know sometimes hearing the word art or art history can be like, okay, whatever. However, it is way more interesting than we often give it credit for. So, but we're going to get right back into our conversation. So we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about a film series and also some social media access that you all, ways that you can gain access to the art department students through their social media and some other fun things that the students are working on. So where would you like to let's start with the film series?
Sure, yeah. So last semester we started to do a film series sponsored by the Department of Art and Design that is curated by Dr. Balducci and myself. And the idea came from the fact that the movie we're showing this Thursday for free in the Student Union Auditorium at 7 p.m., the film is Loving Vincent, was not being shown in Jonesboro.
Why?
And it's kind of an art house film. It's a little bit smaller release. And it was being shown in Memphis, but we know our students don't always have enough time necessarily to be going to Memphis to be seeing a film, particularly one that we of course want them to see because of its art historical significance. So we decided that let's start a film series. Let's show every year 4 films to enrich the community and to provide our students and our town with access to movies that they might not know about or might not be able to see otherwise.
So Catherine, this film is fairly different.
It is. It's pretty special. Thanks for the segue.
You're welcome. I'm here for you.
I love my colleagues. So it's award-winning. And it has a pretty interesting story. It's a mystery, essentially. It's a mystery about the last 6 weeks of Vincent van Gogh's life. And what is so interesting about it is the way it's been made. So animation is based on, each frame of a film is a drawing, an inked drawing. This kind of takes it up a notch. So each frame of the film is an oil painting.
And there are 65,000 frames.
65,000 frames in this film are individual oil paintings.
It
4
took-
years.
Yeah, a long time.
The director actually joked in one interview that they had figured out the slowest way to make a movie. And
Dozens of artists worked on
Dozens, 120 artists from all around the world were brought to a studio in Poland. And essentially what they did is they had the script, they had their actors, they got them dressed up in costume, and against a green screen, filmed them performing their scenes.
Okay.
In production, they put 150 of Van Gogh's most famous paintings behind the artists, behind the actors, and then provided those stills to the artists. And when you look at this, you don't want to think about it as copying, right? This is not the artist sitting there and just kind of recreating the look of this movie with the green screen and actors. They're really thinking about the way Vincent van Gogh painted. They're kind of like channeling his brushstrokes, channeling the way his art looked into this movie.
Because he had a style that each artist has a style that's recognizably there. So, wow.
And it actually, his style changed over time. He started, so just some details about him as an artist. He's one of my favorite artists to talk about in class just because his biography is so unique.
Okay.
He didn't pick up painting really until his late 20s. And over the course of the last 10 years of his life, he produced 860 oil paintings. And that's not even including the drawings and watercolors that he did. He was incredibly, almost like obsessively prolific. And he began with a style that was muddier, lots of blacks and grays and browns, really reflective of the town that he was working as a missionary in. It was a coal town, and he kind of channeled that look into his paintings, and then he goes to Paris.
Well, the color was also
everything
symbolic
changes.
too, because there was a lot of poverty in that town, and so like the dark browns and muddy colors reflected how these people lived, as farmers, very close to the land, and were just very poverty-stricken. Had to dig their food out of the ground every day, and their hands are all gnarly
and he really keyed his colors into, and his brushstrokes actually, into how he was feeling. We talked earlier about an artist kind of expressing their interiority. Mm-hmm. For him, color wasn't just, what you see out your window. It was his feelings. It was his insides. And he was using that to express himself. So in Paris, he discovers the Impressionists and begins to use, smaller brushstrokes. And then he goes to the south of France on the dime of his very generous and beloved brother Theo, who was an art dealer and tried to help him out throughout his life. And he is liberated. His colors become incredibly vibrant, and he captures the light of southern France kind of reflecting on the wheat fields, and of course your beloved sunflowers as well. These yellows that he fell in love with are all over his paintings. And then the more tragic side of his life, he eventually has a little bit of a psychotic break, does some self-injury, just a little bit, does some self-injury, i.e. cuts off his ear, ends up in an asylum for a period of time, and that's when those famous swirls that we're so used to, like Starry Night, where the sky is all moving and swirling around, that really comes out during his time in the asylum. And so, either it's a reflection of his own inner turmoil, or sometimes people think that it's him thinking about the infinite and like the heaven and what the swirling nature of the universe is being channeled through his art.
And I think it's interesting to note, like just from a practical point of view, this is around the time that paint became available in tubes. Okay. So before that, artists would have to procure essentially rocks and minerals from what they call colormen. And they would have to grind, and have assistants in order to make their own paint. So the availability and accessibility of just being able to pick up a tube, he's known for oftentimes taking a tube and squeezing it onto the surface of the canvas. So he was sort of enabled and emboldened to use color in ways that hadn't been used before. He wasn't, constrained by a rigid, academy.
This is very, very interesting, and I hope that more people get to come out and watch the movie and to walk away with a different introspect. Is that the word? Maybe a different respect also for the artists and other artists and what they put into their work. Even for today's artists that are just now creating pieces, hopefully we have a deeper appreciation for what they go through to create a piece, no matter what their medium. I have seen many artists use spray paint, cut pictures out of magazines and paste them on top of paint or on top of something, and so they're still creating art according to their perspective. But I hope we start taking more consideration into what went into creating that piece. I'm sorry.
Now, Catherine, isn't it true that the film is not just a biographical drama?
No, yes, it is not just a biographical drama. I believe you're referring to the mystery behind this story. As Missy does a little bit of Muppet hands in the corner. So when we were talking a lot about the artist and from more of an art historical perspective, art history can be fun sometimes too. And it can have mysteries and questions that you need to solve. And the writers behind this movie are attempting to solve one of the greatest mysteries of Van Gogh's life, is why did he commit suicide, and maybe even if he committed suicide. And so I don't want to give away the ending, but essentially what the movie follows is one letter remains undelivered from Van Gogh to his brother Theo. And the postman's son is charged with delivering this letter, and through a series of events ends up trying to solve the mystery of what happened during those last 6 weeks of Van Gogh's life when he left the institution and moved to a city called Anvers-sur-Oise and was in the charge of a Dr. Gachet, and what happened.
Wow. All right. So we really want to encourage people to go out and watch this movie.
They're going to have fun.
For the artistic side of it, for the mysterious side, and just for the entertainment all around. Okay, so tell us again what day, what time.
So we will be showing this movie on September 20th at 7 p.m. in the Student Union, in the auditorium of the Student Union. It's completely free. We'll have signage up that will lead you from the parking lot to the auditorium, and we would love to see as many people as possible from the community come and join us.
It is rated PG-13.
Yes.
So.
So bring out the kids.
Use your own judgment.
Yes. Yeah. Bring out the teenagers. I think teenagers also would really get a lot from this movie. I think they might be really inspired by what they see.
This would be a great activity for those students that are in art classes now in high school and elementary to come as a group. I know the teachers can't make students do things, but if they can kind of nudge.
Provide extra credit.
Provide extra credit. That's what we do sometimes.
So will your students I don't want to say have to, will your students that do watch it have to, in essence, provide a written essay or feedback on the movie?
No, my students will not.
I tend to do kind of a breakdown the next day, where we talk about what we learned, what we saw, what they thought about it. In some ways, I just want them to enjoy these movies. I don't want it to feel like an assignment. And I might give them a little encouragement with a couple extra credit points as well, because I think once you get used to seeing these kind of movies, we also have a documentary in October that's all about World War II and what happened with art during World War II. It's one of the periods in our history where art moved the most because it was being stolen by the Nazis and brought all across Europe. The movie Monuments Men was actually based on the documentary that we're showing called Rape of Europa. We're showing it on Thursday, October 25th, same place, same time. And I want them to enjoy these things. I want them to seek them out on Netflix. And I hope that through this film series, not only will they learn more, but they'll get this deep enjoyment of seeking out art-related films.
Now, speaking of children, Catherine said that we offer 4 films a year. In the spring, we do offer one specifically geared towards children.
Okay.
So last spring, it was Secret of Kells, which I know a lot of people have seen. It was available on Netflix for a while. That was do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
It's like your favorite movie of all time.
It is like my favorite movie of all time. Secret of Kells. It is a traditional animation that was released, I believe, by a studio in Dublin. It was nominated for an Oscar, and it essentially creates a really beautiful fictional story about a child and his uncle, and the creation of this very famous medieval illuminated manuscript called the Book of Kells during a period of real trauma and duress. This is the time period where these small monasteries scattered throughout Ireland were being attacked by Vikings. And so you have this, comparison of, the violence of the time with the beauty of making this work. And the uncle is really focused on everybody being safe, and the nephew wants to make art. And it kind of makes an argument for, even when things are troubled, that art is worthwhile, that making art under duress is really important, maybe even more important than just building up walls. So it's a wonderful film. We showed it last semester. Again, to reiterate, this week's film is PG-13, so probably a little bit older, but we have a really exciting film planned for the spring.
We're trying to decide, actually, Dark Crystal or Spirited Away.
If you're
Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, but I love Studio Ghibli. I love them. If your listeners want to weigh in, would you rather see, what are our 2 choices? We've got Dark Crystal
and Spirited Away.
And the movie Spirited Away. If they want to weigh in, have seen either of them, or want to see either of them, get in touch via our Facebook. We have a Facebook for the Department of Art and Design. You can message me directly. Maybe I'll even put a poll up this afternoon, and everybody can make a vote. If we're talking about social media, I do want to point everybody in the direction of our Instagram. It's at A State Art Design, all one word, at A State Art Design. It's currently being curated by one of our very talented students, and it is the easiest place for you to catch up on all the things that we're doing.
Everything that's going on.
Literally everything
Student
that's going
art
on.
that's up on the walls, speakers that we have, the daily goings on in our classrooms, everything.
That's awesome. All right, you're tuned into Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Dr. Tema Balducci, Dr. Catherine Baker, and Miss Melissa Wilkinson from the ASU A State Art Department. We've given out, they have given out many dates and times of various events. So please mark your calendar. If you missed any parts of this interview, you can find it on Facebook, and I'll upload it to YouTube a little later today, so you can go back and get those dates and times and make plans to take your families out. We take our families to a lot of, how can I say, there are a lot of things that we do engage in, but I think art is one that, I'm not going to say we don't engage in enough, but sometimes I think it loses it has lost a little bit of its appeal to some, or people don't appreciate it as much for what art really is. I mean, Miss Melissa talked early in the interview about how art is all around us, and how it's, subjective, and how it can be engaging if we allow it to be. So I would really encourage everyone to go out to these different events, take your children. A lot of these events are hands-on, there's the film series, and there's the hands-on series on the second Saturday. So get everybody engaged and get to talking, and you never know what interest you might spark in your child by introducing them to these various activities.
Speaking of people being a little bit afraid of art, we have this initiative that we've been working on for a couple of semesters called Learning to See, where we try to get students who are already enrolled at A State to take our Drawing 1 class. And our reasoning is really, there are lots of different reasons, but one is that drawing can help you in your profession. we're specifically interested in like engineering students, nursing students, biology students, people who need to, really learn how to see critically, who need to focus on hand-eye coordination, things like that. Because people tend to be afraid to take art classes. They don't see it as just a skill that you learn, like playing the guitar or learning a foreign language. They tend to think that either you're born as a genius artist or you're not.
You are not.
And it's simply not true.
Not.
So, that's one of the things we're doing to try to get more people on campus involved in art. So this month, we have people from the administration sitting in on one of Kara Sullivan's Drawing One classes. So we'll have Jason Penry, Carl Cates, and Lynn Fry sitting in and actually taking...
Hopefully in suits.
Yes.
It's the best when they're in suits. And I do think that's a really interesting point of not only do we have this misconception about making art not being for everybody. Making art is for everybody.
Okay.
You can always learn. You can always experiment. If your, medium is not necessarily traditional, you can play with collage, like you were talking about, cutting magazines. You can do spray painting.
Graffiti.
But also, art history is for everybody.
Okay.
This is, our global history, and everybody has access to it. And it's our responsibility in departments like the art and design to make that accessible, to make that for everybody.
Alrighty, so thank you. We're going to get ready for a break here shortly. There's another thing that you all have coming up, coloring pages.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, drum roll. The first of our coloring pages will be released at Loving Vincent. So not only will you get to see this great film, but you can have access to one of our limited release coloring pages designed by one of our current students. We're only producing 100 of each run, and throughout the next couple years, whenever we have an important event, we're going to be releasing one of these limited edition coloring pages.
Collect all of them.
Collect all.
Okay. That's awesome. And so people will come, they can pick up the picture or the coloring page at the event.
Exactly. So I'll just be there with a stack of papers. You can come say hello, and I will pass you
Is it the first 100 people?
It is the first 100 people. We've only got 100.
Run, don't walk.
Run, don't walk.
Do not create a panic. Okay. All right, we have a comment before we go to break from Ms. Carmen Lanos Williams. Just
Carmen.
What a great interview. Thank you so much for checking in with us. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll let these ladies wrap up any information that they've given out, dates, times, and locations. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. So here's today's lesson. You cannot improve your finances without living on a budget. People who manage money well know three things at all times. First, they know their expenses for the year, for each month, and often by the day. They have a plan for their spending, so they know their household costs and obligations like the back of their hand. Two, they know exactly where their money goes. They never look up at the end of the month surprised that they're broke and wondering where all their money went. They understand to the penny how their money is spent and what they spent it on. And finally, they know where they want their money to go. They have goals for every area code. So here's the reality. If you're not serious about budgeting, you're not serious about building wealth. And whatever wealth you have, you likely won't have for long. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters at AURN.com.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-98
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Are you a young woman between the ages of 18 and 29 with the desire to further your education and serve your community? If so, then you may have what it takes to become Miss KLEK. KLEK 102.5 FM will be hosting its very first Miss KLEK Scholarship Pageant on February 16, 2019. The theme will be Women of Empowerment. The grand prize winner will receive $1,000 toward her education at any four-year university, community college, or trade school in the Northeast Arkansas area. Contestants must be enrolled in school for 2019 in order to be eligible to participate in competition. If you think you have what it takes to be Miss KLEK, then fill out the registration form online at klekfm.org or stop by 1411 Franklin Street here in Jonesboro to pick up an application. A non-refundable $25 application fee must be returned with the application. For more information about the Miss KLEK Scholarship Pageant, visit klekfm.org or the official Miss KLEK Scholarship Pageant page by searching at Miss KLEK on Facebook. If you are a woman ready to empower and impact the community you live in, sign up to become the first ever Miss KLEK. Please note, the registration deadline for this event has been extended to October 12th, 2018.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
The McDaniel Law Firm, 400 South Main Street in Jonesboro, is a firm believer in justice and equality for the minority community. The McDaniel Law Firm has fought for our rights for over 44 years. The McDaniel Law Firm offers legal help for wrongful death as well as trucking and automobile accidents. Bobby and Brett McDaniel are available for a free consultation at 870-336-4747 or at www.mcdaniellawyers.com. Check out Melvin Williams of the Williams Brothers every Sunday morning from 5 to 7 a.m. here on KLEK for the Melvin Williams Down Home Gospel Radio Show, playing the very best in quartet and inspirational gospel music that you'll love, as well as feature interviews with all of your favorite gospel artists. It's Melvin Williams Down Home Gospel Radio Show, Sundays from 5 to 7 a.m. on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Okay, sorry. Welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. My special guests today have been Dr. Tima Balducci, Dr. Catherine Baker, and Ms. Melissa Wilkerson from A State Art Department. I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed you all. I thank you all so much for coming. Thank Mr. Tom for helping to set this interview up. And they're going to be return guests to talk about the various things that are going on and how the community can be more engaged with activities that are going on. But I'm not going to waste more their time. I'm going to let them wrap up any dates, times, and things that we didn't get to cover, or any final thoughts you have just on art in general.
Okay, well, just a reminder that the next second Saturday is October 13th, and we're doing a Halloween theme called Smash Your Face, Monster Prints.
Okay.
So we invite everyone in the community to come out on that day from 10 to 2 in the room 107 in the Fine Arts Center to work with Shelley Gibson, our printmaker, and Michaela Lemons, our art education student, who both are always very welcoming, very helpful, and incredibly creative.
All right. So the second Saturday on October 13th from 10 to 2, room 107, Fine Arts Building. All right.
And right now we've got a show up called Pink.
All right.
It's currently up, and it will be up until October 12th. We'll have a closing reception on October 10th at 3 p.m. where we have a Pachacucha event where we're having 10 women from varying disciplines talk for 6 minutes and 40 seconds each. And that's at 3 o'clock in the Fine Arts Center Gallery.
Now, that's 6 minutes and 40 seconds. That's very precise.
Yes. So it's 20 slides at 20 seconds each.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And my favorite part about that is that it's not just artists.
No, not
it's
at all.
people from the community.
Yeah.
So just women from the community talking about their experiences.
From the extended community, we have someone coming all the way from Texas.
That's
Wow.
wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so hopefully we can get many more women of Jonesboro and surrounding areas to get involved in the next, whenever the next event is.
And very simply, it's an interesting place to meet other interesting people.
That's awesome. I love these opportunities for engagement and for networking. You never know who you're going to meet, what interesting stories they have to share, you have to share. You might find more similarities than differences once you open yourself up to interact with other people.
I think that's the mission of art. Absolutely.
Yes.
Broaden your perspective and live life in a big way.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so what else do we have going on?
Well, also, come this Thursday at 7 p.m., September 20th, to the Student Union on campus. Look for the auditorium, the Wren Art Auditorium. There will be signs leading you from the parking lot to this room, where not only can you see the award-winning film Loving Vincent, the first in the history of the world entirely painted movie, but you can also get one of our fantastic coloring pages designed by a current student.
And that is on the 3rd floor of the Student Union. And so that's the same floor as Centennial Hall is on. I know people have been to Centennial Hall for various reasons. The best place to park is in the parking garage that's attached to the Student Union that you enter from North Caraway.
Alrighty. All right, so in these last moments, any final words, thoughts on art history, just things you would like to share with the community?
So I know for a long time, I think this community has had a difficult relationship in understanding where they stand with the university. And what our goal is as a department is to integrate in a way that is meaningful and that makes this community more enticing to live. It is an untapped resource. And there's a great quote, Winston Churchill, when he was confronted with the option during World War II to cut funding for the arts, he said, well then what are we fighting for? Right, and I think ideas like that relating to how we see the world can really be enriched through having a thorough appreciation for the arts. And I think people would really be pleasantly surprised with what we're doing and the vigor and excitement and interconnectivity that we have.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
I would just highly encourage everyone in Jonesboro to come visit us. I'm a new transplant. I came, I'm originally Canadian, but by way of Miami, and I've learned to really love Jonesboro, and part of my loving of this town is being part of the art community here. And I know that my enjoyment of living here, and I think everyone's, would just grow exponentially the more we communicate with one another, and particularly the more we make art with one another. So that's what I hope.
Are your students responsible for the mural downtown?
I spearheaded that.
Okay. That is awesome.
That's her.
It's my design and 20 of my closest friends.
Wow.
We painted that over 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
It took 2 weeks. We slated 4 weeks to do it, but 2 weeks.
You all were really looking.
Yeah, and 100-degree weather too, with no shade.
So we definitely want to give a shout out to you and your students and everyone else involved in that project that helped to brighten up and enrich the downtown area. It's going to be now a staple. It's a sight to see going over the bridge.
Yeah, our department is very proud of it.
Alrighty. But thank you all so very much for joining us. And thank you everyone out there for watching our live feed and listening on air, on your radio or wherever you are. Tune in tomorrow. We have more to come. Thank you for tuning in to Community Conversations. Everyone have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues.